Hey everybody, how's it going? Your host here, Tom O'Mahony, for number 71 of Buckshot. How you getting on? Fair fucking play to you, made it to the weekend. It's Friday the 17th of August 2018. I'm currently recording this at 31 minutes past 11 Thursday night, because I'm up to me bollocks in work, and I'm still, even when I get this put up, I still got about another hour's writing work to do, which are, look at. Who'd be whinging when there's all work coming in? Fuck that. I'm up to my bollocks, so I won't keep you long, and I'll tell you all about it next week on the Ramble Pod. Fucking hell, straight out the gate, I just want to say thanks very much to everybody who signed up to Patreon. Fair fucking play to you, lads. It's actually flabbergasting, you know what I mean? The people that you don't know will actually want to contribute towards the thing that you're making, because they like it. That's talk about affirmation of getting a fucking thing done. If you haven't heard of Patreon, essentially what it is, it's a forum where you can sling somebody a couple of quid who's making a yoke that you like. Essentially, that's it. And it allows them to continue making it, and with this case, kind of make it bigger and better. And that's it, really. That's it. Check it out. Check out my page. I'll put a link in the description of this. It's patreon.com/Tom O'Mahony Buckshot. It's a fucking class fucking thing that you can actually do. You know what I mean? That you can actually forward it further a fucking thing, like to actually get it made and whatever else. It kind of makes you the producer. And that way, there's no holdbacks on anything. Like, we can actually say and do whatever we want. Like that, there'll be tier systems coming in as per. Because like I was saying earlier in the week, I'm going to have 2 days next week that aren't too crazy. So I'll be uploading all the videos, which will be purely exclusive to patrons to Patreon. And as well as that, I'm going to set up a tier system, because I do kind of want to proper exclusivity. If somebody just turns around some Friday and goes, you know what, I sold an extra fucking whatever, couple of windows or a fucking car or something this week, I'm going to throw your man maybe $25, which is a thing, you know what I mean? There's friends of mine with Podcast Mother, or Jesus Christ, there's people giving them a couple of $100 a month, because it's whatever is work to you. And in those kind of tiers, you know what I mean, I'm going to set up something where we maybe have an actual live podcast amongst ourselves for the special folk, just to give some level of exclusivity. But really, anything at all that you can give is fantastic. It'll all go towards, I'm leaving it there in the bank of Patreon. They pay out like on a monthly basis, so it's going into PayPal, alright, but I'm just going to leave it there till we build up to such a point, maybe 400 or 500 quid, and then we'll get first drawdown, we just get a new sound system, a new bit of gear. The cameras, I've been trying out Gordon's camera at the minute from those conspiracy guys who gave me a lend of it over the weekend, and it's fucking dynamite, so I'm going to have to get my hands on one of them. Also, there's a T-Republic. Jesus Christ, just as the laptop's open, I see somebody has purchased, what the fuck have you purchased? A phone case. A phone case. Okay, fair enough. With my face on the back of it. Lovely stuff. Well, not my face, the fucking logo. Like that, the T-Republic shop seems to be tipping away nicely. People are into the logo. I fucking love that. I love that. Produce a fucking thing and people like it. That's exactly what the whole idea of it is. And that's deadly. I want to see pictures of it. If you can, before you put your phone case on, take a picture of it, send it on to me. I'll post it up on all the usual places that you can find me, whether it be social or whatever. You can send me an email at buckshotpodcast at gmail.com, or on the social one as Tom O'Mahony Comedy will find me. Chatty Snaps is Tom Bear O'Mahony. And Twitter is Buckshot Podcast, or Tom O'Mahony Comedy would find it too. Anyway, moving on to today's guest, a very good friend of mine, one of the soundest blokes you'll ever come across. Paul Marsh, he's a comedian. He's also a fireman and a paramedic, and one of the tallest people I know. He says he's 6'4", I reckon he's 6'5". He's one of, like I said, he's a bloke that, I swear to God, if you asked him for a fucking liver, he'd give you a lend of it at the very least. He's just the soundest bloke. He's a local Tipperarian man like myself, living in Dublin. He has a great insight and just very honest way of looking at comedy. And a funny bastard on top of that, but just a hell of a nice fucking guy. Really enjoyed this podcast. It was one of the most chilled out ones ever. We did it in the third floor of his house. So it was as quiet as we could possibly make it, other than the wind screaming. And he's a young fella looking for sweets downstairs. So for now, enjoy the fantastic Mr. Paul Marsh. Yeah, Paul Marsh. Paul Marsh, thank you very much. How did you not bother with a nickname? You didn't fucking need one at 6'5".
It's just Marshy. Everyone knows me as Marshy. But I was going to say I'm chuffed. I've been listening to this podcast for ages. So I didn't want to be. I know we're good mates now, but I didn't want to be hinting. So It's a momentous
Do
occasion.
you mean you didn't want to be hinting? You absolutely hinted from the get-go. You were like, "Jeez, I'm adding to the old podcast time. I'd say I'd be good on that." Kind of thing.
Yeah, it took me a while to get the hint, but yeah, no, delighted.
It's, do you know what? But you see, there'd be fellas kind of say it to you. Well, do you know what? Fellas nearly begrudgingly wouldn't say it to you too. They go, "Oh, fuck it, you know, I'll start my own one." You're yeah. Waiting you to pain your hole you have trying to pump out 2 of these a week.
I'm a huge podcast fan though. I you know when you're driving a lot, like as you up and down home the whole lot, I just non-stop listen to podcasts. So
and you're so into music though, so you don't.
Oh no,
well, you're at the cutting edge of kind of technology too.
I'm gone off music. Actually, I take that back. I've got Spotify recently, and I'm loving the whole. I bet you they don't have this one. Oh, they have kind of thing. Of Spotify. Yeah. But no, I'd rather be listening to podcasts now on a drive.
It's getting better. It's getting better because even still, like when you talk to people, they go, "A podcast," you say. Like, yeah. Fucking planet. And I hate that because I'm always the backward one. But I seem to be. There's definitely a curve happening, like where people are going, yeah, totally.
But we see even the comedy podcasts and different. If you listen to different comedians, you're getting all these little snippets of information. I'm a big fan of what happened. We say how comedy started in Ireland back in the day because I just came to Dublin then.
Yeah.
And I remember I was working in a youth hostel between 5th year and 6th year, and there was these girls over from England, and they said that Amnesty International were doing a gig in the Olympia. And up until then, my frame of reference for comedy was like the likes of Brendan Grace.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll tell a lie. There was another little bit. There's a few different things in my life that would have changed my perception of comedy. So I would have had Brendan Grace, would have been a big fan of Dick Emery. I'm really showing me age here now. Benny Hill and all this kind of stuff, right? And Sil Fox and all those, like, I suppose, what would you call them? You call them cabaret type acts?
Cabaret, yeah. I mean, they do I suppose they'd be good. In the UK, they would have been kind of men's club.
Yeah.
You know.
All that kind of, and I loved all that. And I just thought that was brilliant. So jokes kind of thing. And then a friend of mine worked in Extra Vision and Care, and he, I should say Care, County Tipperary.
I'll be doing the intro of you before all this. Don't worry.
I love Carl Spain's one where he did a gig in Clonmel and I'm from Clonmel, but I grew up in Care. So, but he gave me this Def Comedy Jam. Just gave me this. This is a video. He goes, "You might like this," and I remember bringing it home. And Martin Lawrence was the MC. Of this particular...
It's like Bernie Mac. Yeah.
And Bernie Mac comes out.
Oh my God.
Like, oh my God, that's just...
I ain't scared, you motherfuckers. Oh my God.
Up until that, it was Brendan Grace in a hall. That's what I thought comedy was. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this fella just had an audience in the palm of his hand, intro music. You don't understand.
Yeah, I'm scared, you motherfuckers.
Like, oh my God.
That might be the greatest 2 or 3 minutes of comedy. Because it's just so much power in it, like.
But I remember thinking, oh right, this comedy thing is really taking off. And then I don't know, was it in around the same time? So we went to I'm all over the shop, but we went to the Amnesty International gig
in Vicar Street.
Yeah. Not in Vicar Street. It was in the Olympia, and Amnesty International every year used to do a comedy gig where they would it was to raise money. And I don't know did they do it, but up until recently...
They do. Well, there's obviously the one for... Is it for Crumlin every year? But that's in Vicar Street now. It's kind of the same thing.
At one stage, there was 3 of them every year, and I would go to all of them because I figured you got to see like 15 comedians for the price of one or whatever, and you were supporting charity, so it was a good night out. And it always was a great night out. And Barry Murphy and the likes of them were all... But this very first one, I remember the first time I saw it in the Olympia, I was up in the Gods watching this, and I just couldn't get over. Like, it was like...
Who was on?
The likes of Barry Murphy, Ardle and Kevin Gildy and all, I think, were on it. And then there was the Joshua trio, you know, Paul Woodford.
I had him on the podcast. Yeah. He was talking about the Joshua trio. Yeah.
And I also remember a guy came out drunk with a bag of chips in his hand and sang the national anthem. And that was his act. And I always remember the whole of the Olympia in hysterics. It's hard to describe. I mean, if you picture that. But this was the funniest thing. And that was another changing point in comedy for me when I just thought, you don't have to be coming up with blah, 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 here's a story, here's the punchline. Yeah. Thing. There was so much more to it.
It became an art form, though. You know what I mean?
It was just... I don't know who that guy was, but there was other guys at the time, Dermot Carmody and all. There was kind of like, as I say, going back to the podcast, you can see the waves of Irish comedy. So I was in there at the start. I mean, I saw Darragh O'Brien's first gig. I saw Pat McDonald's first gig.
Did you?
Yeah, I saw... there's actually a story behind this. A guy I worked with in Guinness is called Willie Byrne, who was a singer in a band.
Great name, Willie Byrne.
Willie Byrne. We were going. He was from Navan, and we were going out to the big tree in Drumcondra one night. And he said, "Will you call in I did a stint in the international. I did a 5-minute stint. I dyed my hole.
This is back right at the...
at the very start. I was 19 maybe
right.
at that stage. And so he said, will you come round and have a chat with my flatmate, who turned out to be Dylan Moran.
Fuck off.
This is, I'd say if there's anyone listening to this...
I have a funny feeling you told me this.
I was going to say, this is my story that I tell everyone. This is like...
But I would have had a couple of pints to say when you told me this. Like.
And Willie Byrne then went on... He lost his job in Guinness's. We were in doing security for a contract, and there was no Facebook around that. So I lost touch with him, and next thing I heard, he was lead singer in Jesus Christ Superstar on the West End.
Willie was?
Yeah. So I was sitting in the room with a West End legend and Dylan Moran, and I went back down security. So, so for 20 years, I kind of... but I always still was a big fan of it. I gave it a go once. Like I did it when I was 11 at a school concert. I did stand-up comedy, but it was all Brendan Grace type stuff. And then we had a pantomime society. I was on the radio. I kind of did everything when I was a teenager, and then thought, I'm going to go to Dublin and this is going to be great.
But Ardfinnan is a great spot.
It's brilliant, yeah.
For that kind of stuff. It's for the arts, isn't it?
Everyone goes to everything. You know, even last year now I did I MC the Stars in the Eyes down there, and the whole...
I couldn't get over that night.
Yeah.
And there'd been a previous night where they filled it with the same amount of fucking people.
Well, the night before I think they had 350, and then on that night that you were there was like something between 600 and 700. The whole...
Oh yeah, well I was there, so.
But it was unbelievable. Yeah, that's great. Like when you have that, that kind of community spirit. So you kind of when we had the pantomimes, we would sell out 8 shows every year. Like
Jesus.
Yeah. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
To give a context to Ardfinnan. What's the actual population? Like it doesn't. It's a scattered little village, like is what it is. Like.
The village itself, you see, you're taking.
It's up 4 roads, kind of a thing, isn't it? Like it's
Ardfinnan. It's we have a gun club down there called Bang because it's Ballybacon. it worked out lovely because it's Ballybacon, Ardfinnan, Newcastle, and Grange. There's like the whole area, so everyone goes to everything. So it's. I mean, you're talking. I would kind of class people in my parish or people that just kind of live out like 15 miles away. You know that kind of way. It's not like you're in a. It's spread out. It's just where it is. It's just this side of the Galtee Mountains, just in the Golden Vale, they call it. Or, you know, so it's a nice, lovely neck of the woods. So you've got loads of places like Goaten Bridge, Grange, Ardfinnan.
Yeah.
And it's all being the same parish. Like our hurling team. I could get in trouble for this now. I might get mixed up, but I know that the football team is Ardfinnan, but the hurling team is Ballybacon.
Yeah, because Cummins played for both.
Yeah.
Friend of the podcast, Brendan Cummins.
Oh, I know.
And he even said that you want to be fucking minding yourself, like even playing, you know, you couldn't be...
Oh, well, it's just the name. They're all... It's still the same guys, you know, but I mean, it's just a different whatever name. But Ballybacon, Ardfinnan, all like Grange, they're all we would take from all when there's a team going.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, they're, you know, always do well in the county finals of football and... always do well in the
football. Now when you moved at 19, because you became obviously a fireman.
No. First I was.
What was the plan first?
I was doing security for years. The plan. I remember I was mad into art, and I wanted to do graphic art. I wanted to design album covers.
Right.
Yeah, and
of course it was going to be music album covers.
I got accepted into. I was into doing pantos and stand up and everything else. But I got a bad leaving cert. I remember going back to do the leaving cert, and then when I was going for colleges again, I got accepted into Dunleary College of Art and Design. That's where I wanted to go. And I remember coming back after repeating my leaving cert, and they were like, "You were here last year. We accepted you, and you didn't take the spot."
What?
Yeah, and I didn't get it again the second year then on the same portfolio.
What?
Yeah, so I was kind of second.
Was it a bit of a fuck you? So if you're not coming back,
it was. It was basically your man that was across the desk from me was kind of like that.
And how did you not know that you got it year one, the first time?
Well, they accepted me the first year and told me that I could have it, but in the meantime I decided I was going to send myself to boarding school to get a decent leaving cert. Because on my parents, they said, "Look, get a decent leaving cert and then go do what you like."
Okay.
So it's karma. I don't know, whatever. But I kind of like. I'm kind of glad because it was a hobby that I kind of liked at the time, but I don't think I was ever going to be passionate enough to do that, you know. So I always had a kind of a thing for the fire brigade, and
just love men in uniform, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's what I actually have a bit about that, men in uniform, because if you go to IKEA and you see them with their cream uniforms and all, you're like, no,
no.
It's men in certain uniforms. Like you're not going to get little kids dressing up as clampers, putting toy clamps on their friends' bikes, or you're not going to Halloween. There's no sexy bin man outfit. It's their birthday. There's not going to be a park and attendant kissogram coming in.
But you went for, because to explain to people, because we don't have the camera running on this one, but Paul is 6'5". 6'5"?
4, yeah. Well, 4 or 5. I remember going for the guards one time.
When you do your hair, you're 6'5".
I went. Everyone told me, "Oh, you should go for the guards," and I went for the guards twice.
A tall Tipperary fella.
And I have the accent. All the rest of the guards come down to learn our accent.
Yeah,
I already had it, you know. And I remember going into, and your mum measured me, and she goes, "Yeah, you're 6'3", and I was, no, I'm 6'4", and she looked on her face, and she was like, "You only have to be like 5'10" or whatever." I was going, "I'm 6'4". And I measured that again. Every
I grew every bit of that myself. Yeah.
So I actually went in. Story. I went for the guards in Dublin, and I wore. I was pioneer till I was 23, and I went home. My mother said,
for anybody listening, from pioneer it's kind of a religious based kind of
it was
a handshake with God that you're going to stay off the booze.
Yeah, you're going to stay off the drink. My father and a bunch of his mates back in the day would have led it in Art Finnan. There was a gang of them that just decided that, you know, this whole drink culture and the whole thing around it was just not for them. And
it was like the sisters of, what do they call it? Not abstinence, by back in America back in the day when. Do you know, it's just staying off it,
just to stay off.
Why did you do it?
For the greater glory and consolation, O Sacred Heart of Jesus, that I will I used to know the
prayer. Can you do it?
I used to know the prayer off by heart. I was staying from all intoxicating. I can't remember it, but anyway, that was the gist of it. That you were kind of like.
Keep myself
that you were a better person if you weren't dependent on the drink. Anyway, that was it, you know. So
it's kind of fucking obnoxious.
I lasted till I was about 23, I think, and
even in Dublin, like.
Yeah, even in Dublin, and then for years afterwards, like, I would have never been much of a drinker. I was going to say I'm not now, but I am.
But you're not a booze hound, like. But you'd go a couple of weeks without drinking.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I remember going to an AA meeting one time with a friend of mine.
Why?
He was only young, and he said, "Did you like?" I remember asking him. I was really interested in the whole AA thing, and he says, "You can come along sometime if you want." And I went to the AA meeting, and there was this is a friend of mine.
There was nothing about starting cars, fixing tires.
No. But I always remember thinking, and it stuck in my head that if their philosophy at the time was that if you needed a certain amount of, you were an alcoholic if you needed a certain amount of drink every day, even if it's just 1 pint. You know, these lads that just after work went for 1 pint.
I suppose. Yeah, well, it is a dependency, I suppose. Because there is an Ashiree, isn't there?
There is in Care, yeah.
Yeah, in Care, yeah.
The back road from Care, the Common Road.
It's like a Betty Ford clinic. Like
exactly, yeah. And people are going there for it. He's gone to Ashiree for 2 weeks, and he'd celebrate them by going to the pub. It's just, that was mad, yeah. And so yeah, I don't know. I'm going off track.
You went for the guards. You were going for the guards.
I went for the guards, and I went to get my pioneer badge, and I broke it. So I ran into my mother's room, and I took one of her pioneer badges. Now I was 21 at the time, and 3 people who were interviewing me, 2 of them had pioneer badges on, and I thought this is going to be a good thing. I'm glad I wore the thing. They kept asking me about my pioneer badge, and I thought this is great, you know. But soon after I came home, it was the one with the circle around it, the gold one that you got after being 25 years of being a pioneer. And I was only 21, like, and I'd say they just thought I was the greatest chancer anyway.
But wouldn't you just kind of go, fuck it, fair play to him, like, you know what I mean?
I know, I'd say they just thought I was a chancer. But anyway, I was doing security, and I always kind of had this idea about the fire brigade, and all the lads that I was working with were all, so I went for it anyway, and I have the best move I ever made. Love it.
Did you make a bollocks of there was something further too about the Garda story? I'm sure you did.
There was another, I went for it twice. The second time I went in, I had a terrible interview, and they asked me if I was at socialising and people in the town knew I was a guard, would it bother me? Which is a big thing with the guards. And I said, yeah, it wouldn't bother me now, and if they want to be like that. And I know people look at guards as being, and I was like, how do you say dry arses in a nice way?
Oh no.
And I was like, and I paused, and then I said, don't pause. And I just went, dry arses for use of a better word. And you can see the three of them across me just leaning back going, oh, you know, is this...
You're fucking cooked.
So then I thought I had clawed back the interview, that everything was going kind of a bit better. And then I remember that day it was pissing out of the heavens, and I had a big Crombie coat on me, and I had a big black umbrella. And I left the umbrella inside in the waiting room, and there was a bunch of people in there that were waiting for their interviews, and I was chatting to them beforehand. So I went out to collect the umbrella. I turned to everyone and went, right guys, I'll see you all down on Templemore. Turned to meet the guy who was interviewing me, just standing there with a look on his face as if to say, you won't be going to Templemore.
No.
So again, as I say, what's for you doesn't pass you by. I got the fire brigade, and And now, from what I know about the fire brigade and the guards, I would have never been suited, I don't think, for the guards, because I think everyone meets, when you meet the guards, you're kind of like, you meet them at a checkpoint and they're checking your tax or whatever, but there's so much more to it, like, you know, the whole...
Oh, man.
Just dealing with people and just, I couldn't see it, you know.
Even I was talking with a fella the other day, and he got a call. They were in an unmarked, you know, squad car or whatever, and they got a call, domestic violence, up the road. So he whacks on the blue light, round on the road, up, and he was... They didn't really break the speed limit too heavy.
Yeah.
They're fucking cops, and they got their sirens going. They're allowed to speed. And about a fortnight later, his desk gets a speeding ticket. This is a piss take if ever I saw it. Like,
yeah.
And he brings it to his super. He says, "Oh, look at this shit." And you can see the lights are flashing in the picture and everything. And your man says, "Yeah." He says, "You're going to have to fill that out." He says, "You're going to have to fill an excuse out."
Jeez.
We're fucking cops. What you he says, "No, look, you're going to have to write." And he wrote like 2 or 3 lines just saying, was attending a domestic violence case. He said, "That dude was going, no, you've got to write a report on the reasoning why you were doing 90k and a 60k, like."
Yeah.
And he had to go back then and write.
Jeez.
And he says, "This is cop time, like."
That's the other thing about the guards, because in the fire brigade we don't have any of that.
That's what I mean, like,
all our forms that tick the boxes kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because you have to do them real fast.
Did we put the fire out?
You have a patient. Well, from the fire brigade point of view, I don't do forms, say the officers do, but when I'm in the ambulance now, because we're paramedics as well,
that's
all real fast work to tick the boxes and hand over, you know.
They didn't die, or they did die.
The worst, like, you do get some mad situations, but always in the back of your mind is you're going to have them for 10 or 15 minutes max.
Right.
You know, and then you're going to get to the hospital and hand them over to, you know, to resus department or wherever, however serious it is. And,
like, it's supposed to be water off a duck's back now, like, still, but Jesus... Even being a paramedic, fireman, whatever, the first couple of years.
Yeah, and everyone always says to you, you must see some terrible things, do you? And you're like, in your head, you're thinking, yeah, I'm not going to answer that question.
No, and that's the thing. No, I don't want you to go down that road.
I always think that there's like a joke in that people say, because I'm always tempted to say, no, actually, I've been into 21 years now. I've never seen anything bad.
Yeah, you told that should be your fucking answer too.
I'm a real quiet station. I was thinking of other stuff as well. The stuff you couldn't kind of do. We were talking to recently about stuff you couldn't do on stage. One of them, I thought I had a joke one time where I was going to say I'm a paramedic, and I was like, "Jeez, or some all you get is moan. Is all you nobody asks you how your day is going. You know what I mean? They're all about themselves. Everyone you fucking meet. Oh, I have a pain. I broke this leg and I broke that. Jeez, you're dead with you. You know, but you couldn't do that on stage.
No, you fucking can't.
It's selfish, man.
But you're in the you were saying the station you're in now is a bit because I
was in Tala.
You gave me a stat about Tala. It's the busiest in the world, or something.
It still is, as far as I know, the busiest in the world. There was a place in upstate New York that was busier back in
9/11.
Back in the 90s when I was there, and then that place got like 3 stations. They closed down one and made 3 out of it, or whatever, as they do. Like, you know, sometimes when they get money or whatever. So it covered an area of like 800,000 people. There was the area we covered had 800,000 people at the time. Again, I think that's gone up as close to 1 million.
What?
Yeah, because it's all of Tala, all of Clondalkin, Neilstown, the whole way down as far as Blackditch, up the mountains, everywhere. Like, if you look at it on Google Earth, if you look at the area that's covered by that station, it's like, it's flat out. I mean, I would see 2 dead people a week on average, like when I was working there.
Really?
I got 9 dead one night on an ambulance, one shift. Stevens' night, 1999, was having a friend of mine, Chris O'Reilly, around the ambulance. We got 9 people dead in a 16-hour shift. Like, it was that kind of station.
You go to war and not see 9 people dead in one day.
So it was a busy station, and you did loads and loads of... Like, most of the other stations I don't think will come close. Dublin's Barn maybe, or Finglas, but Tala was always the one. But I mean, I loved it at the time.
Yeah.
I'm an owl guy in the station. I'm an owl guy in the fire brigade now, like, so I don't...
What's the average age of a fireman?
They kind of come in their early 20s, and then, you know... Do
they stay for life, or do many fellas quit? Because it's a tough enough out goal too. Like.
Most of them kind of do, but you see, as you do like I do, you do your first 10 or 15 in busy stations, and then there's other options. Like, you can
put you out to pasture.
You can do the control room, or you can kind of do other kind of stuff, or quieter stations or whatever. Or the thing about it as well is it's all down to seniority. So, like, I would be fairly senior now. I would drive. Like, everyone has a number at the start. So number 2 and 4 are the ones who are going to go into the house fire if there is a house fire.
Right.
So number 1 is the driver. So I, like, you know, most of the time I'm driving,
Grand.
If I'm not, you rotate around.
Yeah.
But when they're stuck for drivers, so I would end up driving more so, that kind of way. But you got I got a good fire there recently. I went into a good fire recently, so it was.
I loved that. I got a good.
That's
good
what
fire.
I got. It's like it was going well by the time we got there, and I got in, and you love it, like you love the adrenaline of it. Like I know this is someone's house that's burning, but we kept it to the kitchen, So.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. But even then, like it was
to have smoke damage and all the rest of it.
But that's their. I swear to God, just from watching it down through the years, my opinion on that is it's bricks and mortar. A car is just a hunk of metal.
Yeah.
None of this.
It's all fucking insured anyway.
Like it's just when someone says person's reported, that's the thing we hear. If there's someone in the bloody thing.
Yeah.
Once they're not in it, you literally just don't. At the end of like. It's save life is first, and then save property is second.
Yeah.
But the gap between the two of them is huge.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Jesus, it's whatever. Like
save life, we will literally run into any building, and if there's someone in there, we will grab them and we will put our lives at risk. But when it comes to saving property, then
fuck that.
All the health and safety comes in, and
yeah.
While, and we just tackle it from the outside, and keep it at the kitchen or whatever. That kind of way.
Yeah.
So it's all that kind of story. But I mean. There is a big gap between save life and save property. Property is just property. To fucking build another one.
It's almost like that. I just always remember that bit from. Do you remember the movie Backdraft?
Yeah.
But some fella parked his car in front of a hydrant, and they fucked the hole straight through your man's car.
That has happened.
Has it?
Yeah, that has happened. And our social media is brilliant at the moment, and they often put up pictures like that.
Don't put your car in front of a hydrant where you're told not to. Yeah.
So.
Have you ever have you gotten to use the jaws of life to cut a car in half?
Oh yeah, regularly. Yeah.
That now is something. You could charge people to have a go at that. Like
I remember when we were in Tala, we got a new station officer, and station officers would see fellas doing certain jobs, and they think, well, the next time you go, like, to be like, here, great, turn an order, get that you and get this you or whatever.
Yeah.
So when we get a new station officer, I was fairly down the ranks in seniority. The very first road traffic accident we would go to, I would get the cutters because I wanted him to think in his head, that's the guy that does the cutting.
Right, yeah.
So from then on, and I remember getting this guy called Mick Gary was his name, and the very first one I went to, and from then on he'd go, Paul, you get that and you get this, and he'd, whatever he'd be ordering. I was like, yes, I'm doing the cutting. And he got fucking promoted. He only stayed in the station for about 6 months, and then it was back to some other dude guy doing the cutting, so you're kind of... But yeah.
And how did they, so we'll say, what were you, 21, 22 when you went into the fire?
No, it was a lot later.
Was it?
Yeah, no, I was in Guinness's. I went in there doing security in Guinness's to try, and I thought that would kind of benefit the guards or whatever.
Right.
And I knew that they had their own fire service in there, which would good for my CV. So I was keeping my options open.
Cute you were.
Yeah, and they said I was in a contract in security, and we knew that when I went out doing the security course, someone told me that the contract for the fire station, they're trying to look, because Guinness has contracted out everything.
Right.
And then they kind of got stuck at the fire station. And then the security crowd said, well, we can do it. We'll send out. So I went out to Dublin Fire Brigade's training college, the O'Brien Institute.
To become a contract fireman.
To become a contract fireman.
Right.
And an industrial fireman, it was called at the time, because Guinness has had ammonia, CO2, nitrogen plants, and, you kind of had to be kind of trained up on that kind of stuff. So I then went on doing the fire brigade there. Then I went to the Airport Police Fire Service, and then I joined Dublin Fire Brigade in 1997. So I was about 7 years, maybe 6 or 7 years, kind of doing other stuff. Yeah. So
because just trying to figure, and when did you go back to doing stand-up comedy then? Because obviously you've given it a go.
I gave it a go in 91, but the thing about me is that, like, I always describe myself as a huge comedy fan who just happens to do comedy. For the whole of the 90s, I lived in the International. Like,
really?
Yeah, and it's gas. Like, looking back, I didn't know there was any other clubs as such. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was it.
At the time, there wasn't much more.
Well, there wasn't. They kind of had taken up, like, the second wave, as I say, within a talk, would have been Carl and Neil Delamere and Bernard and all, would have been 94, 95. But up and before that, we'll say Joe Rooney and all, Dermot Carmody, Alec Lyons. Alec Lyons, I remember saying this to Kevin Gildee recently. That he opened for Neil Sedaka when he played the Point Depot. And this was huge. Like, this was a comedian was going to come out and talk to 7,000 people.
Before a singer?
Before a singer.
Right.
This was what comedy was. It just taken off. It was just became kind of huge. Like, I won't say overnight, over the space of about 5 years. So the international lads have been kind of dabbling with it. So you had the likes of Michael Redmond and all, who had gone to England and all, Sean Hughes, and they were coming back then doing gigs and all. I remember seeing Sean Hughes and thinking, oh, he's just unbelievable.
Unbelievable, yeah.
He said, I remember he also said to, there's a bunch of people in the audience, is anyone that's not Irish? And someone said they were American. Oh, American, where are you from? They said, California. And he goes, here's one for you. You know how how do you know E.T. is California?
Go on.
And they went, I don't know. And he goes, because he looks like one.
Yeah. Totally not what you're expecting.
It was just ridiculous. But
I
the
love
whole
that.
place just
You totally didn't know because he looks like.
And the whole place just erupted. I remember thinking, this guy's deadly.
Oh, that's.
What was the other one? He said, you come into, oh God, you start off as sperm and you go out as ashes. You're the equivalent of someone jerking off into an ashtray. And all this kind of stuff. And you were like, where the fuck is this fella coming up and all this? It's just madness. And I remember thinking this was all.
Yeah, he was kind of streets ahead.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
But there was super acts like Mr. Trellis, Barry Murphy, Kevin Gilday and Ardo Hanlon. They would stand up on the stage and do Pat's phone in. I don't know that they do it at the start and it was basically like they would just say
Pat Kenny's phone in, like, or what was it? Or just Pat's phone in?
It was just Pat's phone in. It was just like this show, and Barry Murphy's in the middle was answering imaginary phones. And they would take turns at this, whatever. Like, if it was a great way, because if they had a joke that just didn't suit any other thing, it suited Pat's phone.
There was opportunities too back then. Like, I mean, obviously they rocked in, and Father Ted gave a ton of them.
They nearly all got to go on that show.
You know, and then even talking with Delamere, like, he was going, Jesus, like, I don't know, could I get going now? Like, I mean, now he's in a great position. He's a hard worker and he's a very good comedian.
Yeah.
But as he said, like, the infrastructure is there for him. But he said, like, there was no competition for television back then. So there was no, like, there wasn't YouTube, there was no Netflix, there was no Facebook. So people only had telly to watch or radio to listen to.
Yeah.
So, and he says, there was a handful of us. The older guys were gone to the UK.
Yeah.
So there was the likes of myself, Des, Carl, and a few more. And they were just banging TV shows at us. Like.
But the thing about it as well that I didn't like about it, I remember coming up when I was trying to do it, was that it was the same crowd. It was kind of like a studenty type of crowd. Like, I used to go there regularly, and I would recognise people in the crowd that would go there regularly. It was the same people.
Right, okay.
You know? So at the time they had Wednesday nights. Because, back to the Olympia thing. When we were watching Amnesty International thing and we were watching all these, we were bursting ourselves laughing. When the show was over, a guy in front of me turned to said, and he goes, these guys are on the International every Wednesday night. So I went to the International. I went back and did 6 year, but the minute I came back to Dublin, I was like going to the International.
Yeah.
And then I asked, can I get a spot in the whole? Thinking I'll get in. Just wasn't for me, you know. But I remember thinking at the time, the crowd were not. They're a totally different crowd to like
trendy crowd.
Yeah, the Tipperary crowd. So it was a sad realisation that all those people that were down in Tipperary, they were all my neighbours and all, they were like being friendly and nice, you know. And this was just a bunch of kind of students that were real hard to please. And I remember the improv nights; they used to be shouting and trying to put people off. And
well, you see, the thing is too, of course, like, I mean, the trendy gangs are still there, like,
yeah.
You know that guy.
There is a bit.
There totally is still the trendy gangs there, like, but at least what you have is there's a wider shouting space now where you can go. You can go and grab your own people. Like I was in Belfast last night, and I can guarantee you there was a gang of lads. Well, 2 of them came up to me afterwards, but there's a gang of about 15 lads that listened to the podcast.
Oh, right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know, had they ever darkened the door to the Empire before, like.
Yeah.
But they were laughing their stones off way harder than... Like, quite literally, I walked on stage and was still laughing. And it was like, they couldn't... Like, they're probably lads who don't go to comedy, which is great.
Yeah.
Because not to say that that's the kind of people I appeal to, but what... It's not just a gang of fucking trendies coming in going, oh, he's not alternative.
Yeah.
And, oh, wait, that guy seems way too confident because that's not who we are, you know, and that's...
Yeah.
You know, that's who you're talking about, like, isn't it? Like, you know...
But back then we said it was only one, like you said, it was only the International.
Yeah.
They had Wednesday nights, and then I think they did Sunday nights, and then there was improv on Monday night. And Des changed it all around then in... Say 94, 95, he started doing Thursdays and Friday nights and Saturday nights. And
making it a business.
Yeah, and I've listened, as I said, I'm listening to another podcast there where they interviewed Bernard, and Bernard was like, he was a musician, and then he was doing a bit of comedy. And then he was like, oh, here, I'm going to fucking do this comedy thing.
Yeah.
5-6 nights a week.
Right.
Yeah, so like, it was, I remember, I'm kind of proud that I was in there to start kind of watching it. I was a big fan and the whole lot. And as I say, that's going back to why I started, as I say, podcasts. If you listen to podcasts, you can kind of, you know, but the whole time, I'm 20 years a comedy fan. And I have stuff in the back of my mind. So when I actually got round to it, Jared Devine, who is in the fire brigade with me.
Yes, I remember Jerry. Yeah.
Good friends of PJ Gallagher.
He did a bit with his arse hanging out, didn't he?
Yeah. He, Well, he's the cover of the calendar, so I mean,
he's unbelievably well toned arse hanging out.
Yeah, he's a seriously well built guy. So, but he used to stand up, and he said to me, "You should come in some night because." So 20 years later, like I didn't know, I never heard of the Battle of the Axe. You know what I mean? And I went to a few shows in Vicar Street and stuff like that. But as far as I was concerned, and a lot of people still would be today, comedy is the international.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like sure, even I was speaking in a meeting today, and where they'd seen me, she was like, "In the comedy club," and I went, "Oh, which one?" She was, "The comedy club."
Yeah.
I went, no, honestly, she went, "Upstairs in the internet." I went, "Oh, right, one of the comedy clubs."
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And Battle of the Axe Tuesdays and Thursdays upstairs in the Halfpenny Bridge Inn.
Yeah, it's gas that like I would have been like that for a long time, but sorry, I lost my train of thought. But I was
about Ger.
Yeah, so Ger brought me in, and I remember going in and meeting Tony, an absolute saint. I don't know how he does it for 20 years, but anyway, and getting a spot there and asking him for a spot and thinking, right, I'm going to do this. And then around, I think it was the same night, there was something on the Mercantile. I went up and I met Simon O'Keefe, and I was chatting to Simon for ages about comedy and about the good old days and the whole lot. And he said to me, "Oh well, I'll give you a spot in my." He hadn't even seen me. He's like, "I'll give you a spot in my." He ran a club on a Wednesday and Sunday nights. You know, like they do an open spot in between the
in the same venue. Yeah.
So, I was like, I was only in town. I was after getting 2 spots. I hadn't even done comedy. You know what I mean? So this was great. So I brought a couple of friends in, and I won the Duck on a Tuesday night.
Oh, the Battle of the Axe.
And I was hooked from then on. And then I think about 6 months later, Simon O'Keefe ran a competition, and Al Porter, I'd become good friends with Al. Al was the favourite. Everyone was, and he was on fire. You know what I mean? He hit the ground running. He was just fantastic. And on the night, he told me that day. Al said to me, "I'm going to do new material. I'll come up with this religious stuff." And I was like, you don't do new material on a
competition night,
on a final of a competition."
Yeah.
And he went, yeah, I suppose you're right. But then on the night, he had the audience palm in his hand for the first 3 or 4 minutes. I went into the new material. I remember stepping in from the stairs to kind of see if I could make eye contact with him, to give him the, what are you doing? And he kind of lost the crowd. And I'll be honest with you.
You were delighted.
It took me a few minutes. There was a break in between, and then I thought to myself, well, look, if he's gone.
Yeah.
Colin Turrett was on after me. I remember he was the other favourite. And I just, the other thing was, I'll be honest, I had about 4 pints in me. And I was just so nervous. I just went in and had 2 pints down. I'm going to have 2 pints in me and just grand.
Yeah.
And then I was waiting around, I had a third pint. And then I was like, I'm still nervous. And I'd say I was half cut going up onto the stage. And the 7 minutes I was doing, I knew off by heart. So anyway, as I say, I won the bloody thing. But that kind of did a lot for me. It kind of pushed me ahead of, getting gigs anywhere.
So you beat Al Porter.
Oh, I hope he's listening to this. He'll kill me for saying that. Yeah. But the one and only time, yeah. But there was some great acts on, and that are all still doing it,
But the standard is high in Ireland, though, isn't it?
But I remember those 9 that were in the final. They're still all doing comedy. They're all brilliant.
Right, yeah.
I never placed in any other competition after that. Just I get to the first round, and I remember myself and Paul Crowley going to doing a moves thing, and one day, and the first one was on at 1 o'clock, the second one was 5.
Oh, I've done one.
The second one was, and the third one was 9, and you kind of had to go through to the semi-finals or whatever, and we were out at 1 o'clock. So we hit the drink. I remember I was one of the most drunk I've ever been, because Paul had me on whiskies and everything. I was just,
That was the thing. I did one at 1 before, and it was only just the judges. There was a few comedians.
It was like you had 2 minutes.
Yeah. And
what are you going to do in 2 minutes?
They took ages to tell us, and the next thing she said, all right, well, come back at like 6 or 7 o'clock. Yeah. So I was like, oh, the fuck, I'm hanging around. Okay. So I came back, and sure, you could tell by their faces.
And Foyle Arons and Hogg showed up. And I remember Foyle Arons and Hogg showed up, and everyone was like, here.
Yeah.
And I think they won it anyway, obviously, but I remember a lot of people were like, yeah, we're going to have a drink with you as well. It was one of the best days. The other thing I always remember about that day was that everyone was waiting outside the International, and this was this new group that I was after getting into, this whole comedy thing.
Yeah.
And you're worried about your persona.
Yeah.
And as I was walking on the street, I could see that everyone just turns and kind of think, oh, here's Paul Marsh coming. A couple of people, oh, hey, Paul, I'm walking across the street, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And you got to make a nice intro and the whole lot.
Yeah.
And E-Man goes to give me a fist bump.
African E-Man.
Which I am in my 40s and kind of didn't get.
And you're white.
Bumps. I was actually in my 30s.
You're white.
No, I grabbed his fist and shook it.
Like a fucking gear stick.
I thought it was a handshake. He was going for a fist bump, and just everybody saw it, and everyone started bursting themselves laughing. And you know that person in your head that goes, "Nice one, Paul. Yeah, nice one. Yeah, that was good. Good idea." I think that was more the reason I went on the piss for today, more than that.
But there was some of the sessions like when I started comedy at first, Jesus Christ, the drinking that was going on.
Oh well, it was a new thing. It was like saying to someone there recently, Nate Bargatze, does this bit where his wife is going, "Oh yeah, you're going into town to meet all your friends, aren't you?" And he's like, "They're professional comedians. The fucking crack we have is, you know."
Yeah.
And you do, like, I'm going over to Edinburgh just for one day now this year, just to meet the lads. And just,
but you know the crack will be 90, like.
Oh, it'll be just... But it always is. Like, I love the whole comedy thing. I love the road. I love a good road trip. I couldn't get enough
Oh,
of
yeah.
And you would line up, and I would say, Johnny Graham or someone would get onto you from Galway and say, "Here, would you do a gig?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, well, come here. Have you other spots? Can you give Joe a gig?"
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know, and we'd have a carpool.
It was like the night we went to, was it Castle Bar, myself, yourself, and Emma Quinn.
Yeah, that was...
But the driving back was even funnier after that night with Joanne. Jeez, I've told that story I don't know how many times. Joanne fucking thinking that everything that was being said to the audience was to her.
That was, and then when she stood up and went out, I just thought that was the fucking...
You're a paramedic. What drugs was that woman on?
Oh no, I don't think she was on drugs. I think she was... Well, maybe...
No, she was definitely taking some prescription. She was definitely taking something.
But what got me is that she was sitting with 4 friends, and when she marched out, they didn't go with her.
Yeah.
That spoke volumes. Like,
yeah.
I was like...
They knew she was a mad cunt.
Yeah, but even, like, I mean, whatever, they were all out together, you know, even fellas now, like, if I was there and you lost the plot and you were there, I'd like, oh, I better follow him and see
Yeah,
okay.
sees you okay.
You see the three of them kind of looked at each other and thought, nah, fuck her.
That must have been an move. She pulled that a few times, I'd say.
I'd say it wasn't, it was a regular thing, you know.
Because to give context to it, what happened, myself and Paul had been on in the first half, and I think I'd been waffling about some shite about being in Mayo and meeting a little old woman with a beard. And you were just talking about
being 40.
But you were talking about yourself.
Yeah.
Being in your 40s and being over your hill. And she follows us out to the green room, this mad one. Probably in her 50s, I'd imagine. And she comes out, maybe 40s, I don't know.
No, she was in her... She says, "I'm in my 50s. Would you
Yes.
Believe? And then she was like, "Would you believe I'm in my 50s? As if looking like a compliment." And
yeah,
like, yeah.
She says to me, like, and you know, all women from Mayo don't have a beard. It's like, clearly, what? I just had to walk away from the situation. But thankfully, you were driving and I was having my pints.
But there's more to this story, because when we totally were on the second half, they did this thing where they said, "Oh, we have a boy band over here." There's a bunch of guys, and they said, and they called them No Erection.
Yeah.
And then we have a girl band over here, Little Mix, more like Pick and Mix, and that was Johan was sitting at that table.
Oh Jesus!
And then they shouted something up, and he's I don't know what they said, "Amen" or something or whatever. And Lorcan went, "Look, don't worry about the girls. You got the house. That's the main thing."
Right.
It
was something throwaway about a divorce.
Yeah, about a divorce. And everyone started laughing. And I remember thinking, she went real serious. He struck a nerve. And next thing anyway...
She starts roaring.
I'd say about 2 minutes later, she stood up in the middle of the whole...
She just snapped, hadn't she? Like,
yeah, just said, "I can't..." Something about... My husband left me last year and I can't take any more of this shit, and just stormed off out. It was brilliant.
And I just remembered, I loved the awkwardness of the first 5 seconds after that moment when the whole place went dead silent and the lads kind of looked at each other, and I just started howling because I had about 5 pints at this stage. And they were like, yeah.
But the lads, someone in the front goes, "Oh, just go on the wine or sing the song," or something like that. And then the lads were like, "Oh, yeah, well, I didn't mean to do that now," or blah, blah, blah. And next thing, Emmett goes, "All I can see is that Paul Marsh and Tom O'Mahony are bursting themselves laughing, and the whole crowd just turned around to look at the two of us." I remember my tears.
Oh my God almighty.
Because there's nothing worse. Comedians are terrible if someone is dying or someone's in an awkward position.
Well, plus I felt double great, because obviously we love when your friends are dying on your home and you get to drive back. Because there's nothing better. Like if they rock it, there's nothing more to be said. It's like, yeah, you rocked it. But if you're dying in your hole and it's a friend that it does well on a typical day, like, it'd be one thing if a lad was dying every fucking time.
See that has changed. I think there's a new kind of a wave of comedy at the moment, and there's a bit more honesty in it. I remember when I was starting, people actually admit more now to dying.
I think, I definitely, I could not wrap my head when I started first. Lads are going, "Yeah, it killed last night, blew the roof off," and you're like, "I was there. You fucking did." Yeah, why would you say that?
Or the people who would go to Edinburgh and say, "I have another full house tonight," and then someone came back from Edinburgh and go, "No, they didn't. They didn't sell it," you know. But I always remember that saying that I couldn't get over that I would have been a big comedy fan, and now I was sitting in green rooms with comedians that I was fans of.
Yeah.
And there was never any of this seniority type thing or whatever. It was just looked at it like we were all comedians. That was it. There was no. And I remember saying that, I think it was Colin MacDonald said that we, no matter how long you're at it, we're all just one step away from dying on our holes, and that keeps us all.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that a lot of people talk about it now, like that they'll say, "Oh, I died in my hole, no problem," you know.
I wonder what's to be thanked for that. Like, is that listen to podcasts of comedians who are honest and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's more that people are just being more honest.
Because I talked about fucking dying on this, like, because it won't. Thankfully, it won't happen every time.
I think I told you this. Was I telling you this there recently about one of the worst ones I ever died on? And there was 2 alphabets down the back. There was 16 people. And I remember thinking I was getting one, because I calculated like that. I was like, okay, I have 1 laughing. Let's see if I can get 2 laughing.
Was this in the, where was it? It was the Halfpenny,
yeah. And,
my God.
And two old guys down the back. And in the middle of my set, one of them turned to the other and went, "Why did you bring me here?"
But that's the thing, like, I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, but even that night in Mayo, like, that was like, Gerard had said to me, Gerard would be quite low key anyways, just Tommy says they're after seeing me for the last 3 months, so I'm not going to do much before you.
Yeah.
And he fucking didn't.
Yeah.
And he went, right, welcome to stage Tom, and off I came. And there was a bit of work to be done, because I was going, I could die for the next 20 minutes here, like.
Yeah, it was. You took a while to get going, but once you got going, it was the business.
But it was going on first too, like. But also I was kind of going.
Did I toss a coin or something with you down the back?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was like toss because I didn't.
But do you know what? I also wanted to go on first because I stay sober before gigs, and I wasn't driving for once, and you were driving. So I went, well, if the sooner I'm off the stage, the sooner I can get to that fucking bar over there.
But from a promoter's point of view, if I'm putting on a gig, I would put you on first for the energy anyway.
I see. Oh yeah.
John Cleary told me that before. That was like I used to be always giving out about being put on first because I would be kind of like a gag merchant. They will always put on someone either that has energy or that has quick
to get it going. Yeah.
And I used to hate. I was like, "Oh, fucking, I'm on again first. I'm on again." You know, when I was like, we start, and he said to me, "That's a compliment. Like, take it as a compliment." So I did after that anytime, you know. So
yeah, the way some nights they will quite literally start, you know, lads that get the hump, like a few places have been, lads gotten the hump that they were on first or whatever. Yeah. Lads, not so long ago actually, we were on a gig together.
Yeah.
And that issue came up and it was lads, I don't give a fuck, actually let me on first. If I'm getting the same money as the fellow who's gone on last, and I'm doing the same time, let me on first so I can either go home early or get on the beer early. Yeah. One or the other.
No, it wouldn't bother me now. At the time, it kind of bothered me because I was kind of like, I would like to go on a bit later or kind of do whatever because I was going to be there for the night or whatever. I remember this was above in Navan when he said it to me. But I took it as a compliment from then on because...
and even if especially if there's a really good MC who hasn't warmed up anyway. Yeah. Now, if you do like that night in... Now, fairness to Jared's a great comedian, but he said, "Tom, they're after looking at me for the last 3 gigs here. So I'm not going to do much. Is that all right?" I went, "Whatever you want, Jared." And so I knew there was a bit
if you're on first, they can peak if they're big drinkers.
Oh yeah.
The headliner will have a fucking awful night.
Sometimes you see it in the laughter lounge, like the middle spot probably is the nicest.
Yeah, the nicest
because they're in a good state. But how many times have you seen closers struggle with the fucking lunacy?
It's just drink can be that. Yeah,
because it's a party night in the lounge too.
I find that as well as in GA clubs, people will kind of get a bit earlier and the whole lot, and by the time the headliner comes on, it's tough going. Yeah.
Even that one we did together, I don't know where it was a couple of weeks ago. What the fuck was the name of the place? Anyway, in Palmerstown, I sensed that there was a fair amount of sauce being consumed.
Yeah, they were one out of it. They were a great crowd.
They were a great crowd, actually, yeah. It was, but like that, I mean, you could have nearly gone on the fucking beer with them after that place, like. One's drinking wine.
It was a lovely layout for a room. I think the longer to the side, you know, rather than it being a hall and there's people miles away from you.
I find it, especially for if I'm doing any MC work or if I'm doing crowd work with doing stand up, I like that setup where it's kind of along in front of you. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, as you said,
kind of a good. It's spread out either side and a whole lot. I was over in Hot Water Comedy Club. Have you been over there in Liverpool?
I did. I helped with the design of the place.
Did you?
Yeah, because the lads were going cheap looking for a fella to draw it for them, so I drew a lot of it for them.
Well, this tiny stage, and there's 130 people and the furthest away from you is like maybe 15 foot.
Stop. Yeah,
it's just they're all just sitting. They're all just there. You can just pat them all in the head.
Running. You could do 8 gigs with them.
Yeah, they have 2 venues now. Yeah. You can do 12 gigs over 2 nights.
Really?
Some Fridays and Saturday nights they have 3 shows on in both venues, the Friday and Saturday, so you can double up.
Is the population in Liverpool that big?
No, I was talking to someone there from Liverpool. Joe Dowling. We went over there, and his cousin was telling us that it was never this option before. Like again, like that, certain people would go to comedy.
Yeah.
And certain people, but now all of a sudden, comedy is a thing. It's this huge, big. There's like a boom for comedy, and not just that, but the Echo Arena. This guy Paul Smith that MCs the Hot Water.
Vinty.
He's gone huge. Paul Smith. He's just global, and he's doing European tours, and he's been to Belfast, and he's been up and down in the UK. And then when he's not, he's just there doing the gigs regularly.
So it keeps a good name in the place. It's like Des when it comes to the international, like when he was,
But I mean, he's literally this guy does 7 nights a week. Lovely fella, has 2 young boys, and it's just he's loving all the that he's taken off of it. The people.
When were you over there?
I was there about 2 weeks ago doing a recorded show that they haven't put up yet. That's the other thing you see, that they record
their social media is amazing.
Yeah. They record their shows and put it up, and they have their own YouTube channel. If you click in, it's very it's very good to. There's some great stuff on it.
Because it used to be a case that if you did the Slaughterhouse, the Laughter House down the road, and there was another one called Baby Blue that I did before.
They were all just one a week.
But they'd have the fucking right hump, because I was there right at the beginning when Hot Water was in a different venue. It was upstairs above a pub, I think, called The Crown.
Yeah. And
myself and Sean Hegarty were there, and they were saying they were the new kids on the block, and if you fucking were heard to have done there and down the road, it's like, why wouldn't they all just talk to each other like?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Well, they have the monopoly now. They've just.
Well, I tell you though, the way the Laughter House crowd are smart, like, because their club is just club size. But when they have a big gig coming up, they hire out, because I opened for Stade last year, and I was under the Laughter House banner, but they rented a 400-seater.
Right, because
Extractor Factory it used to be, but it's now a real trendy venue.
Because Hot Water do the same thing with the Echo Arena.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
right.
And they do it in other places that are just. I wouldn't be. My geography now, UK geography wouldn't be great, but big towns like, I don't know, Southport, is that near there? And there's other, Chester and places like that.
Chester would be, yeah.
They've rented out and put Hot Water gigs on there with your man Paul Smith and other comedians.
Right, yeah.
So, it's definitely, it's changed how people think about going out in Liverpool. Like, it's comedy is now, I think. And like, the audience were just, the 2 nights I've been there now, they were just hanging on every word. And they're like, I was only doing 7 minutes. I got 5 rounds of applause because you were just, they were just mad for comedy. It was just mad for a laugh. And I changed a couple of references to, I have an IKEA joke about Ballymun, and I just changed it because over there it's Warwickshire or something. And the minute I said that, they're like,
oh, right, yeah. Well, the world would be rough enough too. Like,
so they were just, and I remember half the crowd started cheering. I was going, "Oh God, they're in tonight. Sorry about that." And it just and the idea of
you couldn't put a foot wrong, like
a fella coming over from Ireland. But even one of the guys that went on first came out, and he goes, "Like, I have a joke that has a double barrel punchline, and I couldn't get to the second part of it because I got around with it."
Brilliant.
So they were just fabulous crowds, So. But they're here in Ireland as well. Don't mind it.
No, they are, and it's well, we don't have the population that they do have in the UK, where they can have a fucking turnover of people coming.
Or the mentality, like, because we'll say. In the UK, if you look at all the clubs, like even we say Newcastle, I was going over there to do the stand. The stand is huge, like it's a 400-seater. So they have something on 7 nights a week in the stand, and like they had student nights midweek and all that kind of stuff. So they're getting massive crowds in the Newcastle, which is only population-wise. I wouldn't think it's probably 1.5 to 2 million, maybe. Would it be?
I can't see it being much bigger than that.
It's smaller than Dublin. You know what I mean? And they have all these small clubs and all around in the outskirts and the whole.
Yeah, comedy's a thing, isn't it? Like,
it's a thing over there. Where it's not really. There's still certain. I mean, say the crowd that go to the Laughter Lounge are totally different to the crowd that will go to the International. The crowd that go to the Laughter Lounge are like, "Hey, let's try comedy this weekend."
Yes, yeah.
I remember going to do the stand in Glasgow, and they all hated Saturday nights there because the true comedy fans went on a Thursday and Friday.
Right.
And Saturday night was full of people who thought,
just on the base.
Let's just try comedy tonight for something different. And then if they didn't like it, they would talk or, kind of chat or whatever. So,
well, I think there's talks of a bit more clubs opening up around Ireland. Like, I mean, if you can shout loud enough, because the amount of people, you know yourself, the amount of people after a gig go, "Do you know what? I never go to the comedy, and that was a great night." Now,
the worst of it is, I mean, you know yourself, I was trying to run them down the country and this, that, and the other, and you're just
you're fighting an uphill battle in some situations.
Yeah, it is, because it's population wise. Because people say, "Oh yeah, I must go this. I have something on this one, but I'll go to the next one."
Yeah.
Yeah, there won't be a next one because we didn't get enough people in this one.
Yeah.
So that's what you're kind of stuck with, So, but I mean, likes of towns like say Waterford and like Galway has loads of comedy clubs, midweek and whole lot, Roisin Dublin all, and I don't think Kilkenny has one.
No, of all the fucking places
And
that
Waterford,
should have one.
Waterford doesn't have one, I don't think.
There's something. There's talks of one opening up.
Well, the Laughter Lounge used to do there years ago.
Yeah.
1 night a week type thing or whatever. But no, it's surprising. They have a great venue down there. I forget what the Forum.
I did a gig there.
They put comedy on there, but I mean, an actual weekly comedy club. There was a guy, Sean Murphy or something was his name, tried to start one time, but
was it in a gay bar? No.
Oh, I'm not too
sure.
sure.
There was definitely a fellow opening a comedy club, which was in kind of the back room of a gay bar.
Yeah, I always thought Waterford would be a great town, but even bigger towns like say.
But that's a college, like
Newbridge. They tried one out there. We tried one out there years ago, and we got a great crowd the first night, as you do.
Yeah.
And then the second night was kind of like half the crowd, and then when you count up how many people in the audience are your friends and family, you were like, yeah, there's about 12 people. Otherwise, it won't be.
Well, we did one in Selbridge, I remember, and it went gangbusters a couple of times, like once a month, and of course your man then all the promises that were made by the venue beforehand, like, and Jesus, don't you worry about that, and I'll have this next thing he's talking about cutting the money and everything. You go, what the fuck are you talking about? We're going good. But the next thing you know is the posters you dropped in the week previous that he promised
hadn't been stuck
up.
Listen, that's what
you know. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
But you're only like, if you see from their point of view, you're only one night a month. Then, and there's some other fella in another night.
See, I suppose that's the other side of the lads, like Binty and the lads in Hot Water.
Yeah,
they quite literally went out and bought that building, like.
Oh yeah.
But there's something about the UK, like, I don't know, is there fucking cheap rates or something, man, or do you get a
that was in fairness, like, that was only a warehouse. If you see out the back, it was just a.
You know yourself here, if you went to open up any kind of a shop, the fucking rates would cripple you.
Yeah.
To open anywhere in a visit.
To go full time comedy where you're limited to say 2 hours every night, it's very rare that you're going to get that space in some place in the city centre in Dublin.
There's lads, they open Monkey Barrel Comedy Club, which is a great club.
In
Edinburgh.
Yeah.
And I was there and I did it one Friday night. And because I knew one of the lads from years ago doing Edinburgh, and he was saying, come on over. And I was going, this now is going to be some Mickey Mouse affair. Because I just couldn't wrap my head around, if that location is where it is.
Yeah.
What the fuck? How are you going to... The lads were tipping away. I hadn't an arse in their... They were like normal blokes.
Yeah.
They hadn't gotten a massive bank loan.
Are they 7 nights a week?
They're up there nearly now, but they were opening. They had their main part, which I'd say was about a 70 or 80 seater, and they'd gotten great seats. They were all cinema seats ripped out of a cinema.
Yeah.
So they were cracking seats. So people were in great form, sitting on lovely seats. Yeah. And then he says, "Come here, and I'll show you the rest of it." There's 2 floors to the basement, 2 more back rooms. They were going to be a fringe venue as well, like. And he says, "We built the old bar out of plywood there, and they're after getting taps in, and we're tipping away nice." But they had 4 fellas had the opportunity to come up with an idea and go, let's chance opening an actual comedy club ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas, like, you couldn't do that in Dublin. Couldn't. You couldn't do it anywhere in Ireland. You'd be crippled.
Just, full time. And the only way you get away with that, I remember someone saying before, you went out to the outskirts, out to like Fisborough or something, but you wouldn't get the crowds then.
Not at all. No.
We're all just, that's another thing about Dublin. It's very, just city centre. It just has to be. And everything goes against you. Like, all our bus routes. Like, if I want to get a bus here from Rathcoole to fucking Rathfarnham, I have to go in to meet up with one. The nearest probably would be Walkinstown. You can't. So everything is like, it's like a spider's web. Everything goes into the city centre.
Yeah.
So our businesses are the same. Our social lives are the same. So you have to get city centre if you want to even dream of having a club.
But I suppose it's only like it comes to a tipping point like London, where they go, "Oh, we better build another city along to the side of the city," and you can have.
Well, we say Tala. I would have argued before that Tala was like that, but we've tried comedy clubs in Tala.
Yeah, that's true. You
just can't get it. No, because even all the people in Tala, when they go out,
100,000 people,
they go into town. Oh, in Tala there would be 500,000 there.
Is that?
Yeah, the area. Well, maybe 400,000 anyway. But even when they all go into town, you know what I mean?
It's fright, like.
They wouldn't, like, if there was, you're putting a club on. I remember we had it was a Thursday night.
It'd be great if there was one in the shopping centre.
Like in the square.
Quite literally in the square.
Yeah.
Do you know, like the cinema?
Yeah, but see, the square is not a social kind of part of Tala. Tala's social scene is spread out to the areas.
Because you see, every bar, even around Tala, is kind of struggling. Like,
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? They're all.
We have the Jobestown, the Kilnarden, in what we would call the top end.
The Jobestown was something else.
Then the Maldron started up then in the, near the square, and that hasn't got its own clientele. I think it's nobody knows who's kind of. There's no. I think Friday, Saturday nights people just kind of wander in there after.
I was saying to Joe Dowland a couple of weeks back that he should start back up the fucking the Jobestown Inn. I liked going out to that place.
We're actually going to do it in December.
Are you?
My idea was that we would do.
Of course, I'd be down to Panto.
Well, if it goes well, we'll do a few more. My idea was that we would do a double up.
What do you mean?
With, say, another one of the pubs that he used to do it in, either, like, say, Lucan or whatever. And so we would get 2 headliners or 2 or 3 lads or whatever.
Right.
And swap them around. So, like, if I said to you, I'm going to give you a certain amount of money to do a gig, and that's your night taken, right? So I have you for that Friday night.
Yeah.
Then I said to you, I'll give you another £100 if you do 2 gigs on the night.
Grand. Because
these pubs that was the thing, they were all kind of like giving the poor mouth when it came to like
coughing up
money or whatever. So I said, make it worth their whiles, do 2 nights and we'll just swap people around. I'm actually excited about the prospect of it, because I think you're not as I'll give you an example. The same money was I'm not. You wouldn't be under as much pressure. Like I'm always thinking worst case scenario.
Yeah.
If nobody comes, how much am I going to lose if you ever put on a gig?
Yeah.
Joe was opposite. Joe was like, we could make this much. I'm like, you can't. He's like, John's. Come here, we're getting it. You could fit 150 people in there, and a tenner a head. That's fucking £1,500 we're going to make. We're not going to make 1,500. It'd be lucky we get 50 people in there. Relax. You know the kind of way. Yeah. I am a pessimist, I'll admit it, and he's not. And somewhere in the middle we meet whenever we're putting on gigs. But anyway, I was just saying to him, I think safest bet if we put on 2 gigs where we swap them around, and we don't have that pressure there.
Yeah.
And so that's the plan anyway, and I'm just hoping it takes off, because I'd love to do that.
It'd be a smashing setup.
You could do that down the country as well. You could do it, because if you have a break in the middle, like for a half an hour or whatever,
yeah,
you could actually go town to town. You could do Clonmel Care.
Yeah, you could actually, yeah.
Actually, you needn't even be worried about that. If you had, say, 2 headliners, right, and you had a support act, you'd have an hour to play with in the middle.
Fuck, you would actually, yeah.
Just keep in touch with each other on the phone to say, are you ready to start? Are you ready to start? We're both starting at 9 o'clock. Go.
And just leg it when you're done.
And then at 10:30 it's the switch around, and then by 11 o'clock the 2 of them are switched around, and you've 2 headliners that you were roughly given.
Do you know what? I've not noticed that's a good novel idea. Yeah.
Well, we'll start with the Jobestown and see how we go. But I just think that would be a better idea, because I came up with the Vintners Association one time in Newbridge. We were talking about doing a festival. They felt that they needed to get a festival into town, and they were talking about the idea of a comedy festival.
For where?
For Newbridge. This years ago, and they had asked me, because I'd run a gig down there before, and about how much it would cost and the whole lot. And there was like 7 major pubs kind of in the thing, and I did up a roster along those lines,
right,
of swapping that. Like you would do 4 or 5 gigs in a night,
yeah,
and the same fellas. So we say you got a fella that's normally, if you were going to give him, say, £200 to do a gig,
yeah,
you were now going to give him £400, double his money, but he's going to do 5 gigs. A comedian wouldn't.
Yeah, of course, all in the one spot.
You're there anyway. You want to do the same, no problem. And it just cut the cut. Your man just couldn't believe the price, like, because he was going on the price that he was thinking every comedian is 200. That comes up to that. So no, you have them there.
Yeah. Around. Make it worth your while. Like,
so he thought it was wrong, but anyway, he put it to the and they went with something else. I can't remember what it was. They went with it, and it never. Oh yeah, the other thing as well, what really put them off is when I looked into the weekends that were free. Yeah. And there's nothing else on. There's only like 14 possible weekends.
Yeah.
And this, when you took December and January out of it, which was ridiculous, you couldn't possibly, you couldn't put one on. There was like 2 weekends, I think, one in April and one in November.
Right.
So I think that really put them off. Yeah, it was like, no.
So come here, you're off to Glee in
Birmingham. I'm doing a trial tomorrow night, or kind of an audition for 5 minutes, the whole way over 5 minutes. I know it's terrible, but this is, yourself, these are the things you have to do.
You might get over there, and it could be 7. Sometimes they do.
Well, he said in the thing, there's a big screen behind me with 5 counting down to 0.
There fucking isn't.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures of the club. It's this Thursday night club thing that they're running. So they have a big screen and they're showing stuff from the internet.
Right.
And 3 guys comment on it. And then halfway through, they bring out 3 up-and-comers.
Right.
And then they put 5 minutes countdown on the screen. So this is the gimmick, you know.
Be a bit of crack, though.
Yeah. Well, if I was thinking I want to keep turning around and looking at it and kind of going, oh, jeez, you know, or whatever. I'll think of something anyway in the meantime that I'm going to...
You should bring out a fucking... a little gas cooker and do an egg.
Yeah.
You know, just...
Boil an egg, yeah.
Yeah, boil an egg. But, you know, to talk about, we're saying, you know, the trendy crowd and all, there's somebody actually, they put up a whatchamacallit on... I can't remember what comedian it was. They put up an Instagram story of, now you talk about there's some bollocks out there bluffing and chancing, like, and they'll put it down as being art or whatever, like.
Right.
This fella has a show going in Edinburgh at the minute. He dresses up in a full monkey suit. Full monkey suit with an old fella's cap on him. He walks out and he sits on a chair.
Yeah.
Just an old smelly looking sofa chair. Sits on it for 56 minutes. Doesn't it?
No way.
And the audience kind of do their own thing. The audience started kind of balancing. They all had umbrellas. And bit by bit, they'd all go up and see could they balance an umbrella on him. And next thing, there was a big group hug. And then somebody, like the whole audience went up and just hugged him. The man didn't budge, said nothing. 56 minutes in, looked at his watch, stood up and walked off stage. So standing fucking ovation. People made their own...
Yeah, made their own show.
They made their own show out of it.
Oh, there is a lot.
And you know what? He'll get a 5-star review for being an innovative.
I've never been to Edinburgh. I'm going over this Friday night. I'm going to get a train up, and I'm looking forward to it. But there is a lot of that I just don't.
Oh,
I'd be the first to admit I'm very old fashioned when it comes to comedy. That
at the very least, be funny. Yeah. Like, and I know there's kind of there's you know what other people find entertainment and all the rest of it, but like there's a very fucking big grey area between you bluffing lazy bastard and being arty.
Well, I always thought that I would be Bill Hicks.
Right.
When I was doing comedy.
Till you gave up the fags.
No, yeah. No, but before I got up on stage and then the silence, the gap. Even now, I'm terrible at MCing because I just, this whole like, so where are you from? There's a pause and I'm not in control.
I get you, yeah. That took me a while to get my head around it. Yeah, but I had to do a lot of MCing for that to work. Like,
yeah, I that whole it just kind of frightens me. I'd rather be in control, and I decide the pace. And even sometimes, like if you got a round of applause at the wrong joke, I'd be like, "You fuckers!"
Yeah,
you know,
fucking
I was on a flow there. Yeah, I was on a flow there. I know that's terrible.
Yeah, hang on to that. You know? Yeah.
But I'm like, you know, I'd rather, and I just thought I'd go on and just talk away and wouldn't be worried. But when you're up there, you feed off the laughs and the more the merrier. That's the kind of way I always kind of look at it. But
you'll see some crowd of fuckers now as you walk around. Like you see all the gap year students, all the posh students up from the UK, like doing their, like the last time I was there was 2 years ago, and I was doing a week, and I was across the hall. And these fuckers that started their show at the same time as me, they did sketch comedy through the medium of ukuleles.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah. Do you know how many times I had to get my audience to shout, "Shut the fuck up" across the corridor to them? I just open the door and go, shout. No, I did. Oh, shut the fuck up. Because I know, I was working my bollocks off to get people in. These lads didn't give a fuck. Like, they were 18, 19 years of age. They were all called things like Toby and Tarquin and Tom.
Yeah.
But they were all drinking wine. You know, skinny, scrawny little young fellas. And they didn't give a fuck if they got 2 people in. Or if they got 3. It didn't make any difference to these lads. Whereas I was trying to pack it in, make a few bob, like. And the lads would be playing to like 3 people, and I'd have maybe 60 in mine. Going, would you shut the fuck up?
But there's all those like those newspapers like The Guardian and all that. They pick out these comedians. They say such and such a joke, and you're like, yeah, it is a kind of it's an intelligent joke, or you can kind of see the humour because I'm reading it here. But you picture that being said in the laughter lounge.
Yeah,
on Friday night.
They will eat their own dick if you would say it. But even so, the word of those jokes are shockingly bad. You're going, is that to be ironically shit? Because
no, well, I think there's a lot of jokes that are very like. There's loads of jokes that I would think of, and I think no, I might like that joke personally, but I don't think that's going to do on stage.
Yeah.
Am I wrong in doing that? That's the thing. You know what I mean? Is there a part of me that I should be doing that? Or this is always
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Should I be pushing myself? Or do I have? Is it down to the fact that I have little faith in my audience? But I don't. I treat my audience the same way that I would be myself. like we say, I always compare it to when I used to DJ for years. And a lot of the time, no matter how good a DJ you are, you will play music that you kind of like yourself to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like if someone asked you to say, for a Wham song, you're going to play your favourite Wham song. You're not going to go for something obscure. Someone asked me for Wham one night and I put on I'm Your Man and the dance floor filled up. And this one came over to me afterwards and said, the fact that you didn't go wake me up before you go,
Yeah.
I love you, or whatever, that kind of thing. And then I'm thinking, why don't I do that in comedy? In comedy, I kind of am going to wake you up before you go. But I haven't got the balls to go, I'm Your Man just yet.
Yes,
DJ
I get
for
you.
you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, but you'd find it like I was doing an obscure bit the other night, and it went fucking nowhere at all.
Yeah.
And it was about having a fucking moral argument with my arm.
Right.
About leaving it outside the blanket by accident, which just when you're nodding off and you notice you've left your arm out, and you want to bring it in, and it's freezing cold. And then I tried to make up how I got into a row with my arm. Like you're not worth it. You're only left. You only the left one.
Yeah.
And it was just I don't know where the fuck I was going with it. But in my head I was going, I think I owe this to you to actually voice what's in my head right now.
Yeah.
It totally died in its bollocks. And I started laughing and went, well, right, we'll put that bit away for now, so and so. And they kind of started laughing and they went, all right, so you're okay. They were nearly more relaxed than they were nearly ready to go back and do it again.
This is terrible now, but I'll say this because podcast, you can say what you like on podcast, can't you? But I always think that if you do a joke like that doesn't work, and then you kind of go back, it's kind of like you're at an orgy and you step to the side to have a wank. That's the way I kind of picture it. Because the amount of times I remember being in the Crunch one night and I was looking through old stuff and I found this joke that I had never told before, or maybe I had it written down. So that's a good joke. Why don't I ever do that? I'll do that. And so I went into the Crunch and I was having this great gig, and then in the middle I just threw this joke in. Yeah. And nothing. Just total silence. Even with the momentum, I thought I would get a bit of a laugh, and it just died. And then this one guy down the back just went, "Ha! That's brilliant." and I just went, "Yeah, I told that joke especially for that guy." And then I carried on. But in my head I was thinking, "Oh yeah, that's why I don't tell that joke anymore." So I think it's like again, going back to the analogy of being a DJ, it's like you're playing whopper tunes and then I just shoved in the Birdie song or something,
Yeah. But but you also have to test ground and go. I'm not trying to change the wheel or reinvent the wheel here of my style, but you need to push the fucking boat out every so often and go, all right, okay, I don't do obscure comedy where I give out to my arm like I'm fucking Stuart Lee or whatever, but I thought there was something funny in it, and there might still be.
But the other thing with me is then as well is that I obviously I would be doing roughly the same. I probably have maybe 3/4 an hour of material that I tried and tested.
Yeah.
And after 6 years, that's not much. There's loads of other stuff that I've maybe done once, and because it didn't get the same laugh straight away, I shelved it or whatever. Or I'm always kind of trying stuff, or I'm afraid to try new stuff because the club I'm in.
That's another side too, because your man's watching you going,
yeah, and the whole time. Or the other time I've gone in and I was saying I'm going to do new material tonight, and you go in and something happens that things aren't going well, or you're on last, or you might be this whatever, and you just go, fuck it, I'll just do the same stuff again. Yeah. And then I'm so annoyed at myself going home, and it's just down to you have to. There's a certain I admire a lot of fellas for just doing it and thinking I'm going to go up there and do 10 minutes, and if I die in my hole, then it doesn't matter. But I would be afraid that that's the one night that someone's in the audience goes, hey, you know that fella Paul Marsh, I went to see him doing it, he was fucking terrible. That's what you're playing with. People don't have that understanding of comedy that we have.
Yeah.
So, like there's different clubs. I mean, different clubs, like we say, I'll give you an example. When I play Cherry Comedy.
Yes.
And there's loads of students and all that, that's when I would try really obscure stuff. Because
may as well.
They get it.
Yeah, you may as well. Yeah.
But other clubs then, like, sometimes you go in and you can tell, like, I think I'm going to do into the Battle of the Axe, and I'm going to do, and you're looking around and you're thinking to the crowd, or a lot of Europeans and people from Americans, and they're like, you're like, they're not going to get this.
No.
It was a bit about Copperface Jacks. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do the old stuff or whatever, And next thing,
the best traveller material isn't going to work in there. Like
the weeks turn into months, and then here I am. I'm 6.5 years doing comedy, and I'm still doing the same stuff that I'm happy with. But I really should be pushing myself more.
But the only way you can do that is to try and have a new hour every 2 hours, 2 years.
Yeah, I really admire anyone that would do that. But actually, and who would shelve. Again, I probably have this argument with loads of people. Are we Coffer time or are we?
No, you're okay. Yeah.
That if it's music and you went to see the Eagles and they didn't do Hotel California.
Well, that's
And yet, lads that I would know who started out with me who have gone to Edinburgh. I haven't been to Edinburgh, but they've shelved material and come up with a whole new hour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, like that's just amazing. I'll be the first to admit I play it safe. I really do. By playing it safe, I might have got myself more gigs than that person, but I would think that they're a more respected comedian in that they're in the long run.
I suppose both things are needed though at the same time. Like, what I mean? Like if your man has turned up and done, say you're a promoter, like, and your man, that bloke you're talking about, has died like 2 out of the 5 times you've had him, like he's fucking no use to you.
Yeah.
Do you know that kind of way? Like
that's the thing though. I mean, who's dictating my comedy career, the promoter or me?
It's got to be it is the promoter, because if he's paying money,
that's what I would tell myself. I would tell myself that the promoter and the audience and then there's some nights when you go to the likes of Cherry Comedy or you do a gig someplace else, like the Crunch as well can be. If you often go in and judge the Crunch and think there's a young crowd in you think I'm going to try something really that's in the back of my head here, and then it works. You're fucking delighted with yourself going home. No better feeling. But then I don't do it again for another few months, and then it's just. And I think I come across it in about
probably do more shite gigs, because I find good stuff comes out of like a shite. Like if the wheels have come off the wagon, or there's only like four people in the audience. Like the other night, I was in a club. I won't say what club it is, and there was only. No, just yet, because it's trying to get off the fucking ground, and there's no point in slating and that. But there was only a handful in, and it was quite good fucking lineup on. And I just found myself going out. The stage is so high in this place, and it's got a little balustrade at the end. And I went out, and like the handful of people were sitting way down the back. I said, "Come on up here." So they sat there, and I actually threw my legs over the edge like a child.
Yeah.
And I just did like 20 minutes of just stupid, silly shit, like hints of stuff that I've done before. But this was stuff just. I was talking to them mostly, like, and just about fucking. Silly shit, but I came away fucking delighted, buzzing like I'd fucking rocked a room of fucking 500.
The other thing, because when you ad lib,
that's what it was,
and you ad lib something, and you think, "Jeez, I remember one time when I started doing comedy first, and I was doing a bit about turning 40, and it was during the summer, and I had a pair of Crocs on me, and it was in the halfpenny, and I just said, so I recently turned 40, as if you didn't know, I'm wearing fucking Crocs for fuck's sake, and I got a big laugh. So I wore Crocs every gig then for the next few weeks. I was like,
freezing your body self.
When I did the Laughter Lounge first, if I did a good gig on the Thursday night, I would keep the shirt and wear the same shirt Friday, Saturday. I'm real superstitious like that, you know what I mean? Anything at all, anything.
I know, totally, I get it. Now, I wouldn't be over superstitious, but I do believe in like psychology and stuff like that. And you work in one thing. Was it the fucking shirt? The shirt was a good shirt, or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I think as well as that, because I read it in a book, and someone said to me, I think Carl Spain said to me, no, it was Ron Vaudrich said to me, said that they will make their assumptions of you when you're walking up onto the stage.
Yeah, I did in the first 5 seconds, yeah.
And that's really important. So if you can have any play on that, and his thing was to keep smiling. Because often when I would have been a big fan of comedy, I would look at the comedians in the corner, and then one of them was a real serious grumpy fucker, and then he'd go up, "Hey, getting this guy up on the stage," and he might come up smiling and go, "Hey, how y'all doing?"
Yeah.
And I just think that you're fooling no one, you're a grumpy fucker. I'd say in my own head, that kind of way. So when I used to go in, I remember him telling me that we did Red Raw, and he was the headliner, and he gave me loads of tips over the 3 days because we were travelling with him. I've never learned.
Who's this, Ron?
Ron Vaudrich.
Oh, yeah.
A Canadian comedian. He's about 35 years in the business. And he gave me loads of different. He was telling me that I kind of stood sideways. He's one of my natural stance is kind of my right shoulder forward. I don't know why. And they were saying,
yeah, I know I do that sometimes myself. I know what you're talking
people to your
about.
right. If you're, you got to keep looking down at them and looking around and making eye contact.
Yeah.
Those people at the side of the stage want to know that you're looking at them and you're talking to them as well, and to keep
that they're part of the gang.
Yeah, and he had all these different little tricks about the way you're talking and the way you kind of turn, or the way if you want to keep kind of, if you have a pivot point, you pick someone over here or whatever, and then you think, okay, I'm going to go 2 away from him and back to him, and 2 over here and back.
Yes,
Sorry, I'm moving around here and I'm on a fucking podcast. But what I it's just all that kind of stuff. But he had some great tips along those lines, and you just kind of it's all a big. There is a technique to it, I think. Like lately, I'm watching myself. I videotape myself because I find that I'm not moving around as much as I used to before. I'm kind of become a bit complacent, and so now in my head, I'm applying movements to the jokes.
Yes, yeah. Well, I actually found stage acting really helped.
Yeah.
When I came back after, I thought I was going to be rusty as shit coming back after nearly a month off doing panto.
Yeah.
I went, because you never take that long off typically,
No, I took a month off and it's tough going.
But I wasn't in anywhere rusty.
Yeah.
I went and did a brand, I would say 75% new hour.
Yeah.
After the first year, because I had been writing and there was new stuff that I wanted, and I say new, it hadn't really seen the light of day. It had seen in segments of clubs and stuff, but I did Dolan. I was absolutely in my element because, but I was definitely a different actor because my facial expressions. So I was in the Russian Dove a couple of months ago, and Tommy James was there doing the middle spot, and he hadn't seen me in years.
Yeah.
Well, probably I'd say 2 years anyway. He was like, what the fuck?
Oh, no, good.
Now, it was one of those electric nights where I was doing 20 minutes, and I had 20 minutes of material worked out in my head. I got through about 10. Do you know those nights like?
But the facial expressions are, like, I have that Fat O'Brien joke, whatever it is, kind of outrage.
Oh, yeah.
And that was another thing Ron said to me, just keep the fucking, and look around at everyone and let them see you. Your disgusted face or whatever. There is a bit of it's kind of like a cabaret type thing.
It's panto.
But it does work, and you just have to. But I over smile. Well, not over smile, but I will smile loads from the minute I walk into the club, just in case someone is looking back, going, "I wonder is he a comedian?" Seems like a happy fella.
Yeah.
Whatever. Now, most of the time, you know me, I was smiling anyway. But I mean, just some.
Mr. Dead Sound.
Well, sometimes you're just not in the mood for it. But
we'll stick a fork. Where can everybody find you anyway? Where are you playing in next? Because this is Friday morning.
I'm reaping the benefits of everyone being in the Fringe. I am in the International next weekend.
This coming weekend?
Sorry, the 23rd, 24th, 25th. This weekend is kind of like my weekend.
Sure,
I'm going to Birmingham and Edinburgh, and then the following weekend I'm in the International, and then I'm in the Laughter Lounge the weekend after, and then 2 weeks after that I'm back in the Laughter Lounge again.
Jesus Christ, you're a resident in the fucking Laughter Lounge.
I'm loving it. I have to say, it's nothing like it when you're. My whole life is made up of when I'm going to be the next gig or whatever. You know yourself.
Yeah.
You get to a Sunday and you're like, you wind down and then you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm back in next Thursday or whatever.
And social media, where can people get you?
Paul Marsh Comedian on Facebook. I think I'm Paul Marsh Comic on Twitter, which I hardly ever use, but I'm on Instagram. I'm loving Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram is where it's at.
So I'm Paul Marsh Comic on that as well. So
deadly stuff. Thanks a million, Paul.
Thanks very much, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Was that your first podcast?
Yeah. I did a snippet one time.
Fuck that.
No, our first full-length conversation podcast.
Good stuff.
Right, thanks.
Hey, thanks a million to Paul. Like he said, you can follow him on all those platforms, all those whatever places you can find him. Very easy to find. He's in the Laughter Lounge, fucking more regular than the owner. Well, that's it. That's it for Buckshot for the weekend, or whatever time you're listening to this one. Enjoy the shit out of your weekend. Like I said, have an old gander at the Patreon, have a gander at the Tea Republic. Let me know what your thinking is on the whole thing. Hit subscribe if this is your first time listening. Whatever app you're listening to on. If it is the Apple Podcasts app, give us an old rating. Give us a 5-star rating. Fuck it. I mean, the other ones are no good to me at all. Hang on to them if you only have a 4-star rating in your pocket. Hang on to the fucking thing. Throw us out an old 5-star rating there. That way it drives it up the old fucking ranks a small bit so that people can find it. This is the main thing. Spreading the word, the gospel that is Buckshot. And throw us an old slammy little comment down the bottom. I like them. I like the comments. It just all looks good, and it's just class if people can tell me, because I can't see. People can tell me they're enjoying it, then fuck it, we'll drive on harder. So like that, enjoy the weekend. Send me on the pictures like you've been doing all week of just the fucking fun old stuff you're doing, or if it's boring as fuck, send it on too. Like I said, you can catch me on all the usual places. Tom O'Mahony Comedy on the usual fucking places, or Tom Mayer O'Mahony if you are a chatty snap person. Now drive on and have a good weekend.